All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How y'all feeling? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. And we're live on Rockfin. Hello, people of Rockfin. Hello, how are you doing? Good to see you hanging out here on Rockfin. Thanks, guys. And we're live on Callin. And today is Friday. Of course, Friday we'll do a little more interaction with chatters, and the lines are open on Callin all day. If somebody wants to call in, has a thought, I will take calls throughout the show. Let's see. What else should I tell you? The best way to support the show is, or the best and most directest ways, without the middlemen and without it taking, going somewhere and spending a month or more in an account until it gets to me. The best ways to support the show are Venmo at Kevin Sandbloom, Cash App at Red Llama Music, buymeacoffee.com at Black Bear News. You can also support me via Super Chat, the Super Chat function on hello everybody. Hey Poppy. You can join me, you can support me via the Super Chat on YouTube. Yeah, that's what it's called. Also, Super Raise on Rockfin. Good way to support. You can also subscribe to Rockfin and endorse my channel, and then you can support me that way too. Also, you can do a monthly subscription on Buy Me a Coffee. You can support me via Patreon at Black Bear News. On Patreon, I post the links for all the shows. The links for all the articles I cover during the shows. So if you want access to those, you can get a daily update on the links. You can find them there. Stuff like that. Okay, so I did it again yesterday. Before I get into these other stories, yesterday, the thumbnail and the title referred to an article that I didn't even get to cover yesterday because it was a short show, and I got distracted and ended up going on a rant. Maybe just all my shows should just be rants. Maybe I should just pick like one article and then just rant for an hour, because it seems to happen a lot. Would anybody be opposed to that? I don't know. Rockfinners, what say you? Anyways, you can also follow me on Twitter at Black Bear News, the number 1. Okay. So yesterday, the thumbnail and the title of the show were referring to this article about France. You guys like the rants? Maybe we should go more rants. More rants, less content. I don't know. There's so many things to talk about. It's just so hard. Anyways, and Aaron K actually says it correctly, which is preparing for extinction. That's about all you need to know about this. I mean, I've already talked about this a little bit, so we don't necessarily need to get. All right. We don't need to necessarily get super deep into it, because we know that 4C. I mean, look at the problems we're having at 1.5. We'll call it 1.5. Look at the problems we're having. So you think increasing the temperature, tripling it almost, that's going to be good? Some say that 4C is extinction. Some say 3C is already extinction. Some even say 2C, game over. So I don't know. And again, I don't know how you prepare for 4C. I really don't know how you prepare for that. I think you prepare by, or I don't know how you prepare. I don't know. You live a life of joy. You do your very best until things go screwy. I think that might be a way to prepare for it. You do your best. You do what you can, and then with the knowledge that things are going to get really crazy. Poppy Davis says U.S. says it's just woke climate change. Going South says withdraw all your money. You run to GS at 3C? Run to Going South? France is preparing for 4C of global warming by the end of the century as countries fail to deliver on targets that would keep temperatures below the Paris Agreement goals. Well, they kind of say realistic. They're realistically preparing for 4C again. I don't know how you realistically prepare for 4C. I don't know how you do it. But they are preparing for 4C because countries have failed to deliver on their targets. Because they're not doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. And yeah, a lot of people think that means it's fake. No, it means that the system is so huge and has so much momentum, and nobody wants to end the party and the good times. Nobody's willing to take a haircut on consumption, right? Nobody's willing to scale it back. So it doesn't mean that it's fake, because people, some people will say, oh, they're buying houses on the shore, people that believe in climate change. That means it's fake. No, it means that they have money to throw around. And, they're counting on, you got to live somewhere, I guess. And if you're super rich, you could buy a $6 million house on the coast. It doesn't mean if you get wiped out, you got another house and you've got plenty more money where that came from. And so, or maybe you're looking for an insurance payout. I don't know. There could be a whole lot of reasons, but buying a house on the ocean doesn't mean that climate change is fake. How about Trump building a wall around his golf course in Scotland? Does that mean climate change is fake? No, that actually means it's real. Why would you build a wall? Why would you spend the money? Why would you outlay the money to build a wall against rising sea level if climate change was fake? No, and maybe that's what the wealthy are planning to do with their shoreline properties. Build a wall. Build a seawall. Build up a berm. I don't know. Divert that storm surge somehow. They think, maybe they think, I got a lot of money and I got a lot of techno fixes in my back pocket, so I think we're going to be good. Andre says you can't outlive extinction. That is true. Anyways, Environment Minister Christophe Béchu told French newspaper JDD that his government was no longer betting on limiting temperatures to 1.5 C, or at least well below. There's that catchphrase again. Well below 2 C. Well, if you pass 1.5, you're not you're not well below anymore. You're almost there. Ain't no well below. They just say, well below was very popular a few years ago. Well below 2C. was very popular a few years ago because it made people feel like, whew, well below we're going to be well below 2C, so we're fine. We're going to limit warming to well below 2C. We're not even going to be close to 2C. Everything's going to be fine. We can't escape the reality of global warming, so we must prepare concretely for its inevitable effects on our country and our lives. There's a roadmap for climate change adaptation in France. On Tuesday, May 23rd, the government is opening a public consultation that will last until the end of the summer to try and define a roadmap for climate change adaptation. Well, that's nice that they're letting people in on the conversation. It will serve as a basis for future policies, making it easier to strengthen them. It will also be used to come up with the next French climate change adaptation plan, which is expected by the end of the year. First two versions look at scenarios where global warming will be limited to below 2C, the Paris Agreement target, and further increases to 3C. But according to UNEP, a UNEP report published in October last year, the world is heading for between 2.4C to 2.6C of global warming by 2100. If countries meet their 2030 climate pledges, and what do you think the chances are of that? We're 6 years away now, or 7 years away. You think we're going to meet those goals in 7 years? We're going to turn it around on a dime? France is preparing for a more pessimistic scenario. They're looking at 4C, because in truth, we should call it realistic. It could mean years where heat waves last up to 2 months in some southern parts of the country, have up to 90 nights with tropical temperatures a year. The degree of warming could also see more extreme rainfall in northern parts of France and longer droughts in the south and west of the country. Water shortages could also increase. Do you think so? Causing pressure on agriculture. Do you think so? There's already pressure on agriculture. There's already pressure. There's already water shortages. There's already drought. There's already pressure on agriculture at 1.5. At 4C, I think those are those proclamations are a little tepid, don't you? Andre says, I heard without aerosol masking we're at 2.1. Possibly. It's hard to know. It's hard to quantify aerosol masking and where we're really at. It's very, very difficult. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It's it's obviously there. It's something that's happening. So it's something that we should account for. But who knows? And to what extent? Right? There's some people that are saying that the rise in temperatures and ocean temperature and everything that's been going on in the last year, and especially this year, a lot of people are blaming that on the loss or the lessening of the burning of bunker fuel in ships. That we've lost some aerosol masking, and that's why we're seeing such a spike in temperatures in some places. I don't know. Global Solidarity says the warming will continue. Why discuss? I mean, I don't know. I guess it's, if we don't discuss warming on this channel, I don't know what else we would talk about. I mean, there's other things, but anyways, water. Also, almost all French glaciers will have disappeared. Almost all. Again, a little tepid. I would say at 4C, ain't no French glaciers. There's French glaciers will be a figment of people's, past history. Remember when there were glaciers here? Andre, good. Yeah, that's something I did want to talk about, but didn't know if I was going to have time for today. That Germany is officially in a recession. I was just saying I was just saying to somebody, we are officially in a recession. We're absolutely in a recession. I mean, we are absolutely in a recession. We've been in a recession for a year. But they just don't want to tell you that, right? They don't want to spook people by saying like, oh, we're in a recession now. Because if you say, it's, what happens. It's psychological. If you say we're in a recession, then everything keeps getting worse, at least for a little while. They don't want to admit that we're in a recession. And Germany is admitting that they're in a recession, but U.S. is absolutely freaking in a recession. 60% of the population, there's a recent poll that 60% of the population of the U.S. feels like their finances are getting worse, by the day. The economy is not good. Banks are failing. Large tech firms, large companies all over the place are laying people off. We're in a recession. We're absolutely in a recession. Point blank. I'm just waiting for them to admit, We're all just waiting for them to go, oh, yeah, we're in a recession. They might never admit it, though, because they want the hopium to continue. They want, the feel-good ideas to continue so that people don't freak out. But, I think people are already freaking out. All right. Ooh, loud noises. But I think we have some. Phantomas, how you doing? Whoop. Almost there. We're almost there, Phantomas. Okay, now try again.
Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm just, hold on. There we go. You're on.
So, I do want to say something about the unforeseen travesties, and this is a perfect example of what can happen. Celine Dion today announced that she's canceling her entire tour because of stiff person syndrome.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, no. What's the syndrome?
It's a rare disease. Stiff person syndrome. It's one in one. It's a horrible name.
Stiff person syndrome. I've never heard that before ever.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing to have.
Well, what is it exactly? I guess it just says it in the name, right? You get stiff.
Yeah, it seizes up everything. You become stiff. It's a horrible name. It needs something better because you know what it sounds like. It almost sounds like a troll. Like if you're gonna go to the doctor and they see you have stiff person syndrome, you're like, get out of here.
Yeah.
But
I have stiff person syndrome myself, but I'm 55 and I have to stretch every day. Like I have to absolutely stretch, do yoga every day to keep myself limber but I think that's called aging, but whatever.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So that to me is like an example of an unforeseen travesty. She wanted to do a world tour, she can't. The travesties we're facing, we have no idea, Kevin. They're probably one on top of the other, and we're not preparing or planning for little to next to nothing.
Right. Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're already right.
And I think the real problem, especially with what the focus is constantly is this focus of just obtaining and capturing wealth. That's pretty much our whole entire society now. Obtain and capture wealth, and it's well past a mental illness, in my opinion, because this is the constant refrain and mantra I hear every day, and I'm sure you hear it everywhere. So the problem is how do we get out of that cycle? And that's why I sent you that article on AI, because if you can't beat them, you join them, and apparently that's what we're gonna have to do, Kevin.
I guess I'm about to cover some AI. Actually, that was the main point of this show, was to cover the FDA approval of Neuralink for Elon Musk. But and talking about, there's everyone's, AI is a big topic of discussion for a lot of people, right?
I actually wonder if AI can build the article that I sent you, the efficient grid, the energy grid, and if it's possible that it can do it in a way where we're in time for it. Who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think we have to start getting more serious about being on the same battlefield on a lot of places we don't want to go, where it concerns the environment.
Yeah, that I mean, it's an interesting thing about AI. They're because it's already assumed, right, that because they're going to roll out AI and so many things are going to be powered or enhanced by it, that everybody's going to have to, kind of like the internet. Well, you're going to have to get on the internet because everybody else is there in order to do business or bank or do things, right? Well, you're going to have to get on the AI thing because everybody else is using it or doing it. And maybe that's true. I also have a healthy skepticism of AI, and obviously, and people who have even created AI have a healthy skepticism of the benefits of it to people. I feel like we're kind of going into dystopian sci-fi becoming reality, but fortunately or unfortunately, the disintegration of the biosphere and the ability to keep everything going is going to probably take the knees out from all that stuff, right? Because everybody thinks we're going into this high-tech hybrid human machine future, and it's going to get really weird. And I'm like, nah, we're not going to even make it there, because it'll get weird for a second there, but I'd say we have 10 years before total chaos due to climate change. And so if you can't even keep the lights on because everything is, if you barely keep the lights on, well then, how are you going to keep the AI on? How are you going to keep all this stuff functioning? I don't know.
Yeah, you do bring an interesting point, because the cost benefit analysis that we're dealing with, like when you go back to ancient times in Egypt and when you look at the pyramids, immediately people are basking in their architecture, their symmetry, their design, their function, their form, all of it. But when you really peel back the layers, you're looking at hundreds and hundreds of years of slavery for a pyramid in the sands.
Right.
Right. So I think we need to start having that same kind of conversation, like what you said about where it goes back to building and construction. This needs to slow really, really fast, real soon. And I don't know how we do that.
Yeah, and here's my the thing I want, and I was going to talk about this when I talked about the AI story, but here's the thing. At the very crux, at the very core of the idea about AI enhancing our future, it's kind of like, well, this technology is going to help humans actually be better humans, and I'm like, no, it's not. And it kind of covered that in the article that you sent me. I looked at it a little bit, and they're like, they're saying, well, it could also lead to the powerful obtaining more power. I'm like, well, that's exactly what's going to happen, because they're saying, the idea that AI is going to save us from climate change. It's like, no, we already know, we just don't want to do it, and people are afraid that AI is going to like force. AI will fix climate change by forcing people to do things they don't want to do. It's like, well, really, you need another thing to tell you to do that? And I can guarantee you that people will resist that, and or it won't be programmed. It won't be programmed that way. It'll be programmed to facilitate the further debasement and enslavement of humans for the benefit of the wealthy, which is exactly what we're doing now. Like, we're looking at AI to like help us be smarter. Help us be a better race, AI, please. It's like, no, we could already do that if we just chose to do it. If we just chose to sit down and think through our issues without, and get rid of the people in charge that are brainwashing everybody to believe that, like, well, this is the way forward, right? Well, I mean, humans need a rethink on their existence on this planet, because we're, the way we're going, it's not going to work out very well, and AI is just going to further exacerbate the ridiculousness. It's not going to make us like suddenly make better choices. I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
I think all the people that right now, what kind of concerns me is all of the really clever people and the smart people. They're co-signing onto so many bad ideas that are just for clout. You know, like when just because you want to say Neuralink, yeah, Neuralink, that's a great idea. Let's go forward with Neuralink.
Right.
So, yeah, it's something to think about. I guess we just need more organization and we need more planning, and hopefully, I mean, fire up the Chat GPT. I guess.
I mean, I guess as a tool it could be cool, but I don't know. And I also think that there will be a what's the book? Future Shock was a popular book years ago, but it actually outlined a very human reaction to technological advancement, and that is, as things get more advanced, humans reject it on some level, right? And there's these pendulum swings of like history and there was a big like back to the land movement in the 70s, right? You know, and people were rejecting the modernization of society in order to do and get back to simpler ways. But, you know, the modernization triumphed, right? By the 80s, everybody was like, okay, nobody's going to get back to the land and live on a commune anymore or grow their own food. You know, we're trying to go to the mall. We want to go to the mall. And we want to go back to the future. But like, you know, right? So that kind of got squashed, but I feel like there's a big back to nature movement right now, right? People are like, yeah, this technology is great, but I can see that we really need to get back to like, you know, the earth. We need to plant our own food. We need to take care of ourselves in a way that like, you know, past humans were able to take care of themselves because we're moving into dangerous waters. So I just don't think, like, even though everybody's like, yeah, AI is super cool, like, I think there's going to be a huge rejection from humans as a whole. Like, humans will just be like, no, I'm good. I've gone as far as I want to go. Like, the phone in my pocket is, you know, pretty great. I don't want it in my head. No, thank you. I don't know.
The great unplugging revolution. I guess we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
All right, I'm all done for today.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, later.
All right. Anyways, well, I already said everything I wanted to say about AI, I guess, today, but I wanted to go back to this comment from Creative Experiments. Said, I stopped putting in the chat about economic collapse because it already happened in March. I mean, I didn't necessarily doubt you. It just hasn't. I mean, we're in a recession. It hasn't like swung out, you know, in full mayhem, and they don't want to say the word recession because that will only help it swing out into full mayhem, I think. But more things like, you know, banks failing will happen, or, you know, derivative bubbles popping will happen, or massive spikes in oil prices might happen, and that'll be a kick in the guts right there. Judy Truitt says all these electronic conveniences are removing people from nature, the natural world, and the laws that govern nature. Right. Yeah, anyway, so let's talk about this a little bit. I mean, we know that 4C is a bad deal. It's a bad deal for France and for everyone else. But we'll try to get into this story while there's time in the show. Elon Musk has won approval from the FDA. And you know how the FDA approves things that are good for you. They always do. wins the FDA approval to test brain implants in humans. So it's a happening. Elon Musk's brain implant company Neuralink on Thursday said the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has given the green light to its first in-human clinical trial, a critical milestone after early struggles to gain approval. The FDA nod represents an important first step that will one day allow our technology to help many people. It's going to help people, and it's also going to keep people safe. That's how they're trying to sell it to you. Right? Safety, or helping the sick and the frail and the needy. That's the selling point. Oh, it's going to be a boon to humanity, but it's actually, going back to my comments earlier, going to be another point of control for the hierarchy enslaving you, right? Neuralink and the FDA did not immediately respond to Reuters' request for comments. Neuralink said in a tweet it did not elaborate on the aims of the study, saying only that it was not recruiting yet and more details would be available soon. On at least 4 occasions since 2019, Musk predicted Neuralink would begin human trials, but the company only sought FDA approval in early 2022, and the agency rejected the application. In May, U.S. lawmakers urged regulators to investigate whether the makeup of the panel overseeing animal testing at Neuralink contributed to botched and rushed experiments. This is weird. The Department of Transportation is separately probing whether Neuralink illegally transported dangerous pathogens on chips removed from monkey brains without proper containment measures. That's interesting. Anyways, here are a few safe and effective. That's right. Safe and effective. Right. FDA approval, safe and effective. Let's listen to a few things that Elon Musk has said about this. Here we go. I'm going to unplug this guy for a second. Sorry for the hum, guys. This is from the blog of Dark Future. Cyberpunk augmentations are coming in our lifetime, people.
Ultimately, we can do a full brain-machine interface, meaning that we can ultimately, this is going to sound pretty weird, but achieve a sort of symbiosis with artificial intelligence. Ultimately.
So, there you go. He's telling you we're going to reach a symbiosis with artificial intelligence. Yikes. Do you think that's going to go well? Considering our track record on how we've rolled out technology and how it's affected the world and people. Bill Carter says Ray Kurzweil talks about a nanobot so small that will be injected into the body then travel to the brain. They already have those. It looks like there's already evidence that those things are already available, and if they were in your body already, how would you know? How would you know? Let's move on. There's more. Oops. Sorry. Portion of Elon's Neuralink demo really got my disclosure juices flowing, and I have no clue what he's even talking about here. I mean, kind of same thing.
Where you have an AI extension of yourself, like a tertiary layer above the limbic system and cortex, um, and having that symbiosis be good, such that the future of the world is controlled by the combined will of the people of Earth. I think that's obviously going to be the future that we want, presumably, as if it's the sum of our collective will. And so I think it's going to be important from an existential threat standpoint to achieve a good AI symbiosis, and that's what I think that might be the most important thing that a device like this achieves.
That is really weird. Because he's talking about an AI symbiosis where, everybody's connected in the human, exactly, Poppy. The will of the collective human kind is exerted, but we're connected to AI. So whose will? Are you sure that it's human will? Are you sure it's not AI will? Are you sure? And he's saying it as if it's, well, this will be great because human will be able to be connected and, have agency upon the, the course of history. Are you sure it's not going to be the other way around where AI is, imposing its will on people and, and to the same point, right? Like this, he's saying as if it's some kind of like great leap for mankind, and are you sure it's not going to be used to just enslave everybody, right? To just say like you're going to get a signal, it's going to tell you what to do, and if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you might get a signal that might be painful, right? Or you might get a very negative signal like on your thought, or we can see your thoughts and we're going to, we're going to, do things to you based on the things you're thinking. I mean, there are so many possibilities, mostly horrible. Mostly horrible. Holy shit, Bella, that's horrible. That's about your mom. That's horrible. Anyway, so he says this. One more thing I want to play. Sorry for the noise. I could get the noise out of here, but I would have to get up, and I don't feel like getting up right now. And probably somebody might also want to call in for the remainder of the show, so I'm leaving the line open. More on Musk. This is what we are here to avoid: transhumanism. Become aware. So he's going to just talk a little. All these are very short clips.
And this is obviously sounding increasingly like a Black Mirror episode, but well, I guess they're pretty good at predicting. But yeah, essentially, if you have a whole brain interface, everything that's encoded in memory, you could upload. You could basically store your memories as backup and restore memories. Then ultimately, you could potentially download them into a new body or into a robot body. The future is going to be weird. I mean, this is obviously sounding increasing.
The future is going to be weird. Okay. I don't know. Some people might be super hyped about this, right? Like the guy that's taking blood from his son so he could live forever. I mean, he might be hyped about getting a new body, uploading his consciousness, and then downloading it into his. I have talked about Upload, that show, which is a pretty good show, about people uploading their consciousness somewhere after their physical body passes on. But I wouldn't. If you can upload your consciousness somewhere, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to download your consciousness into another body, but going to be weird. Yes, indeed. Again, as I said earlier, we're not going to make it to that weird. It is a race, though. I think they're racing to see if they can, generate some kind of like a great technological leap forward before the biosphere collapses, but I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think the biosphere is going to win that race. And as much as I don't want to see that happen to anybody I know or the Earth in general, it might actually be a good thing. If the collapse of the biosphere happens before all this stuff can go down, that might actually be the best thing. Nature might just have a way. The universe will just be like, "Nah, you're good. You guys are good. We're finished here." That's what nature's going to be all about. Yeah, nope. Yeah, no, I see where you guys were going with that, and that's exactly why. Boop, you're out of here. Joseph, how you doing?
Hello?
Hello. How you doing?
Hey. I didn't realize that until it stopped talking.
So, that you broke up a little there when you were saying something, but
That must be it. I think we're both breaking up on each other's line. If you can hear me okay,
yeah,
I'd like to ask.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can hear you. Just make sure you're speaking into the microphone on your phone.
Oh, yeah.
It was a little muffled there for a second.
Sorry. When they talk about consciousness,
Yeah.
does everyone understand the concept of the Mosfet circuit, first of all?
The what circuit?
Because you should, a Mosfet, cause with your equipment, your music equipment in particular, anything that's regenerating through an electromagnetic to digital is incorporating a MOSFET of some type, which is the same thing that's on your circuit for chips.
Okay.
And those either, the way they interact is either a ground out and you get a phase shift, or you get a 0 or a 1. And computers use the 0 and 1. Consciousness is not a collection of zeros and ones. You can regenerate a photograph that way,
right?
And various statistical groupings of energy patterns in the mind, but that doesn't necessarily in any way represent consciousness.
Right. Yeah,
So,
I mean, I know I get exactly what you're saying. I mean, for sure.
I don't think Elon does, though. Right?
I mean, I think a lot of people think that they're going to recreate consciousness somewhere else, but will it actually be consciousness?
I don't see how it can be. Have you
represent? I mean, well, okay, like, let's go back to recording or music. Like, when you're actually playing some music, in the, straight from an instrument, right? It's waves. I mean, you can recreate music on different media, right?
Yes, but that's a good point.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, this is something probably everybody here or a lot of people here can relate to too. The difference between analog we have to talk analog worthy equipment if we're going to use analog.
Sure.
So if we have a platter and we're using a contact point, a stylus, and we're not converting it to digital at all, the wave is continuous from start to the sound reproduction at the speaker, and therefore it's continuous also in the air to your ear. There's no breaks. And most musicians have a particular range of what they can tolerate in the digital version of that.
Sure.
Am I with? I mean,
yeah. No.
Connect that. Okay. You could probably say it better than I just did.
No. I mean, no. You said it great. You said it great. But I mean, but we don't know of a way, we can recreate the image of ourselves like in a photograph, right? Or even on a video. But we're not really there, but we can kind of you can get an essence of what's there. So I don't, if you create a hologram of somebody, that's digital, right?
It is digital, and it's only on the surface, and so you're not really. You can never hug them, right?
Yeah. What if holograms became? I don't know.
Star Trek?
Like much more. I don't. Who knows? I mean.
So here's how Star Trek did it. They did the same thing, layer by layer by layer, at the wave level, to make it seem like matter. But you always have to be in the matrix of the energy field to continue that. And of course, we have nothing like that. It's just a concept.
Right.
But oddly enough, that's how the universe, gravitational fields function to produce light and matter. And so we're in that. I mean, we are that, in a sense. Can we reproduce that? No way. We can only do the digitization of that, like you just said.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I on some level I agree with you. On another level, who knows what they can try to recreate, with this technology. I don't really know. I mean, I don't think we're going to make it there.
Right. Of course not.
Like maybe the technology does get to a place where they can recreate a consciousness. Maybe it does. But
what would it require to get there?
But I just don't think we're going to make it there.
And it would be very finite for a vast loss of complexity, which is what keeps the living hologram that we're in working. I mean, it's antithetical to the success of the whole.
Right.
For a hope for a few, which is the same concept as Egypt had. And we call them slaves. Fantomas isn't wrong, but we're the same slaves. We live in roughly the same pattern of existence, block houses with a hierarchical order of who's wealthy and who's not, and who does which jobs. It's kind of the same. It's a lot more complex now, but it's still the same. And just like us, there was forest there first.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like the. Yeah, I don't know. I just had like 10 thoughts at the same time, but I just got like, which way do I want to go?
I'm that way all the time.
Yeah, but like what you're saying basically is yes, the way that we arrange ourselves is basically the same throughout history. It looks a little different, and we're way more comfortable now than we used to be.
A few of us are.
I mean, no, I mean all of us. No, I mean
out of 8 billion, you think all of us are?
I mean, maybe not maybe not 8 billion, but I'm just saying like we're beyond, and we also are beyond like. We have like medicine that's not like, how about a bleeding or a leeching? We have medicine that like works for people and makes people better, and we actually do have, and we do live in way less. There's violence in the world. There's still a lot of violence in the world, but there's a lot less of it. Where we live in way less harsh. Than we did even 50 years ago or 100 years ago, right? Where things were much, conditions of life were much harsher.
In our country?
Sure.
Yes, but
in
other
other places
world,
too.
That we're vastly...
I mean, in China and India, no, they have like their standards of living are definitely, improved from where they used to be. Are there still people living in abject poverty? Sure, of course, sure.
I think it's a gray area at best because you have unprecedented amounts of a large number of people in that, like in our own cities, that we don't count anymore. They're not on any statistical charts,
sure,
other than the abstract outlanders that aren't allowed in the conversation, like you and I aren't allowed in the conversation at any of the climate functions. And if you include non-humans, for every comfort, let's assume everything you said is patently true.
Yes.
And then it gets much worse exponentially for everything else, which in the end
absolutely
is catastrophic for the whole, including us.
Yep.
And so these conversations are really complex.
Yeah. And we've you're right about that. That's a really great point, right? Our comfort and safety and the ability for us to live in much less harsh conditions is at the detriment of many other beings on the planet, right? It's to the detriment of and to the perishing of other beings on the planet, right? For sure. And and probably more advancement of the same AI or whatever these things might bring us is probably going to. I mean, we're at a point already where we've tipped the scales. We're tipping the scales. Our advancement, which feels really great right now, feels like we're on the Titanic and we haven't hit the iceberg yet, right? Or we're at the top end of the Titanic. The lower end of the Titanic is already in the water, but we're at the we're at the front of the Titanic. We're way up in the air. We think we're doing great. Things have never been better, right? Which is true. Which is kind of what I was saying. Things have never been better for us, for humans. But I think it's going to start. It will start going the other way for a lot of humans, and it's already going the other way for many other beings on the planet. It'll start going the other way for a lot of humans, and then eventually there'll be a few people still at the top of the sinking Titanic going like, well, it's been fun.
Well, and to add to that, out of how many of those ailments that we have all this fancy medicine for didn't exist prior to taking apart the natural world? I mean, there was a time when the humanoid, whether it's sapien like us, probably not, lived in relative ease and comfort in tropic and subtropic regions for a long time. I mean, thousands of years. And then came fire and agriculture, and things changed, and everything became competitive much more sharply. And lifespans of certain groups shortened while others lengthened in the humanoid realm.
Yeah.
And the more I'm standing on a lot of shoulders when I say these things. You understand? This is not my ballywick.
Sure.
This is just years of reading other people's hard work in the field. And it's amazing the correlations you get with that. Because still today, if you average out, like statistically, how many of an Aboriginal group live past 100, it's the same or more as any group in a westernized civilization. It's the same or more. Now you look at some other factors and you'd think, oh my God, I could never deal with some of the things they deal with, like internal parasites and stuff. We would never have that. But those internal parasites came about because of the imbalances brought about by our advancements.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, the overall statistics of who lives past 100 goes relatively unchanged. Mm. So you have to question the whole fundamental theory of the benefit, because it's kind of like looking at the picture through the eyes of statistics, which is a dangerous game to play.
Sure. Yeah. And also, you're right about people's lifespans. I mean, our lifespans are now going backwards in the U.S. Right?
Which
the average lifespan is starting to go down again. It was going up, and now it's going down. And look, and whether this is intentional or not, but look at how many people are. I see a lot of people who are very young, leaving this earthly plane. Due to various reasons, various factors I don't really want to, don't have time to go into right now. But
it's stark, yes.
I mean, what life expectancy, right? You have people going out at 30, 40, 50, and even younger than that. It's died suddenly, right? And there are multiple factors for that.
Yes.
I'm not even going to, I'm not saying that to be indicative of just one factor, but I'm saying multiple factors for that. And somebody brought up in the chats. Somebody brought up in the chats like a few minutes ago about AI, like helping people walk. People who are paralyzed like walk again, and like, okay, that's great. I mean, sounds cool. Sounds like a cool thing to be able to do. And I don't know. It's just I always come to this point, and it sounds really harsh, and I feel almost terrible saying stuff like this. But nature is a balance, and nature, the ultimate equalizer is death. We all die, right? We're all going there.
It's just when
and it's
and
just
what
like how much pain you're
quality of
experiencing
life
until you
during.
get there, right? You know, that's what we're changing.
Yeah.
We're just changing how much pain you experience until you get there. But it's
And
like,
there's
but
always-
we're all going there. And it's like, at what cost do we keep people alive and or help people live longer lives or continue? And this is just a philosophical question. This is not, I'm not saying like, people shouldn't be helped or people shouldn't have surgery or people shouldn't have medicine. I'm not saying that at all. These are all, great things. We're assuming from a human-centric standpoint. It's great. Humans can live better, longer lives. It's great. Of course, we just assume, that's just institutional, in our makeup to think like that's a wonderful thing and it's advancement. But in the scope of nature, in the scope of the balance of the universe, those things are really cool, but the universe doesn't care, right? On some level, there is no such thing as human rights, and probably human rights, to nature, to other forces in the universe, human rights are actually, a little overextended right now, right?
To the universe,
nature's like, hey man, look, I gave you these diseases happen for a reason. Because there's a limit on the number of you that there can be, right? There was a natural limit, and you guys have extended yourself beyond the natural limit. You're violating the laws of nature, right?
Right. The laws,
and I'm going to come back and impose those on you really harshly
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, from another level. Yes, okay, it would be great if people could walk again. It would be great if people could live longer. It would be great to have pain-free lives all the way from birth to death. Yes, that's wonderful while you're in a human body experiencing humanness. And do I want death and pain? No, hell no, I don't. Hell no, I don't. And I don't want it for anybody that I love. However, nature doesn't care. Nature or God or whatever you want to call it doesn't give a toss for any of that. And none of that matters to nature. And nature is like, ha ha ha, I laugh at your human rights. You have no human rights. And you all die anyway, so ha ha ha. I laugh again. Yeah, go for it.
I have a friend, a very, like a brother from the military. And we went through some very intense training together. And we're older now, and he's hard at work with his family, and we have our own problems. And along the line, we talk, and he says, well, I've got to do this and this and this, medically, physically. And I say things back to him like, because you're talking about nature and humanity and civilization, and it's kind of the same as the human body and nature. And I say to him, you're like a souped-up supercar, and you're treating yourself like a Ford Econoline van. You have to find your baseline before you start applying Band-Aids to these problems, And that means getting into some relative baseline shape, which means diet and exercise.
Right.
And humanity and everything you just said, along with nature looks at it like biocomplexity is thermodynamically self-enhancing in nature. The more complexity you have, the more efficient heat, energy, and material is used, and the more often it's used. It's conserving, and you get forest out of it.
Sure.
Well, to the solar system, that means Earth looks blue and green. But humans make Earth look brown and red. Even their reflected sun comes in blue, goes out red, which is a lower energy state. And they're ignoring, that's what I cry about all the time in your show about them ignoring.
Yeah.
Which is different conversation. But the analogy holds. If we want to do what you're talking about, making us better and stronger with AI, in your article, then, or what Elon's talking about, that's absurd. Let's start with not killing people and maiming them and making them need stuff like AI to walk and not feel pain. right? Let's start with cleaning the air and the water, which Fantoma and William go on and on about. I agree.
Well, let's start by sitting. You know, we can actually program ourselves to be better. We don't need the AI to program ourselves to be better. We just need to look at things from in a different perspective, and take and allow ourselves to be, amazing without all the, technological, I don't know what you want to call it, technological helpers. Like we don't need all that to be better humans, right? We can actually, all this. On some levels, it's weird because the internet does allow, faster. On some levels, it does allow a faster point of rate of return on information and consciousness. But the thing is how we arrange ourselves, right, on the planet. How humans arrange ourselves is that the people in charge are saying, like, not so fast. No, you guys are getting too smart too quickly. With this free internet, with this superhighway, information superhighway, we can't have that. Let's start, making the search engine a hide engine. Let's start, punishing people for saying things and thinking things on the internet, right? So that's, that just goes back to the original problem, which is that, we've arranged ourselves on the planet in the wrong way, and maybe we should just go back.
We are not a community so much.
Right.
Yes. And see where that takes you, and then apply what you have of technology where needed or where necessary.
Exactly.
Because whatever.
Right.
I'm not saying throw it all in the sea or bury it all right now. I'm saying do everything you can to work with what you've got with the minimal production of that. Enhances complexity, enhances drinking water, enhances, you know what I mean? Not taking. I mean, that was a great movie too. Who was that? The gorilla movie dude, I'm dating myself, but Anthony Hopkins, and he lived with gorillas, and he got captured, and he kept calling everybody takers. Do you remember that?
No, I never saw that movie. Sounds cool.
His view on things, experienced through the eyes of that movie, really riveting, Kevin. Well worth a watch. I think I'll rewatch it after thinking of it just now.
Okay.
Because he literally lived with a troop of gorillas, not intentionally. He was a photographer in Africa, and he gave up his whole life because he fell in love with life with them. And it's sort of a Jane Goodall moment.
Instinct.
But
it's called Instinct, right?
Instinct, right? Yes. Thank you. And they kill all the gorillas and take him, thinking they're rescuing him from his insanity, I guess, and ship him back to Britain or America where he's struggling for his freedom.
Oh, it's interesting because when you first described the movie, I thought it was a movie that they made up on the book by Daniel Quinn, Ishmael. And it is actually based on that movie, but I guess it's it's based on that book, but it's they told it in a different way. But
it's like Blade Runner versus the android's dream of electric sheep. Yeah. The Android book it's so little compared to they don't relate, but that's what it's based on.
Okay. Cool. I'll check it out. Well, hey man, I got to close up the show, and thanks for calling in.
No, thank you for all the time you've allowed me. I appreciate it. Appreciate your show.
Right on, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. That does it for me. Thank you for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I will see you all tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And thanks for hanging out with me every day on the internets. And until next time, peace.